Talks about he wants to eat this and that. He knows what he can eat.
It took a decade for Lennox Lewis to finally be the most respected big man in the division.
Lewis's stunning destruction of Donovan Razor Ruddock last Halloween night convinced the British boxing public that Lennox was a legitimate heavyweight contender.
In 1992, he has to pick his title out of the trash after Riddick Bowe, the man Lennox beat to win his gold medal, threw out his title rather than fight him.
I'm not afraid of you, Lennox, and we gonna get it on. I owe you one. Okay. You're not the man I thought you was. You lied on me. I thought we was cool.
Yo, bring it on, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna bring it. You ain't nothing but a word.
He's using his long arm so far to fend Holyfield off and keep him at range.
In 1999, he beats Evander Holyfield clear as day, only to be robbed on drawn scorecards. He came back later that year, and in a closer fight, Lennox unified the heavyweight championship.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis.
Lennox solidified his legacy in 2002 with an anticlimactic beatdown of the faded shade of Mike Tyson. It meant going down as the best of his era.
Shades of Tokyo and the one time he got to Buster Douglas at the end of the 8th round. And that's going to be perhaps the end of the fight. It'll take some courage for Mike to get up from that shot.
His bank account grew millions of pounds heavier. The heavyweight title was his to do with as he pleased. What pleased him was a break. He was 36 with little left to do. He avenged every loss, won every title. He dominated since turning pro in '88 and been on a steady treadmill of 3 fights a year against the generation of talented giants.
I don't think I'll ever be pleased with myself or my performance in the ring until I have that heavyweight belt, world heavyweight belt around me.
The people behind Rhythm Boxing are deeply passionate about bringing our subscribers the absolute best boxing documentaries out there. Problem is, neither pristine footage nor the skilled individuals involved in the creation of these videos come cheaply. Supporting through Patreon helps support our work and vision. Patreon will include access to hundreds of pages of writing and thousands of boxing gifts. Rewatch classic fight films with the man behind the Rhythm Boxing scripts as he breaks down the most savage wars in boxing. Help us realize a goal no other boxing channel has undertaken. All will become clear in time. The link will be in the description below. And thank you for your support. Let's get back to the video. Boxing has always been the wrong place to get tired. Whenever terms like heir apparent and champion in waiting start getting used, it's time to start considering an exit strategy.
Klitschko's looking for another one and finds it. Vitali Klitschko wins the WBO heavyweight title, and Herbie Hyde's world falls apart.
The heir apparent in this case was Vitali Klitschko, son of an Air Force colonel in the Soviet Army, speaks 4 languages, earned his PhD, avid chess player, a problem-sized person at 6'7" and 240 pounds of steely Ukrainian. His first training came from his father on weapons of war. Klitschko took up kickboxing as a teen, where he grows into a champion. But kickboxing in the early 90s didn't bring the adoration or currency a champion deserves.
Ausgenockt und schneller als Mike Tyson Weltmeister geworden, wenn man zählt die Runden und die Zeit, was man braucht zum Weltmeistertitel.
So Klitschko commits to boxing. He exploited his preposterous reach and height advantages to their fullest. just as he had in kickboxing, exchanging his long left kicks for the boxer's jab and finding his targets at range. Vitali was set to represent Ukraine in the '96 Olympics, but a failed drug test forced him out. His younger brother Vladimir stepped into a spot on the team and won gold. The brothers relocate to Germany to turn pro. Vitali makes his debut in November of '96 and proceeds to knock out everything in his path.
Это первый раунд, массивный такой боец.
He had a physique that you can't teach, a chin so solid it's only ever been cracked by a spinning kick. He's a heavy puncher with power in either hand. While younger brother Vlad was more of a fluid boxer, Vitali much preferred to stand and slug. Vitali's only loss came in a fight he was dominating against the awkward former middleweight Chris Bird.
He wants to set up the right hand, and he gets Bird with the right hand, pins him in the corner, and already Bird begins to feel the power.
While Vitali was landing at long range, the slippery southpaw was making the big man miss. It was one of these misses that tears Vitali's rotator cuff. He capitulates in his corner as Larry Merchant questions his heart.
It hurts too much. No, it's okay. Don't worry.
Wait a minute.
They're stopping it. They are. That's exactly what Cordelius Winter just told us.
I can't believe what I've just seen.
Vitali Klitschko elects not to go on with his left hand apparently too damaged to continue.
He doesn't have the mentality of a champion.
Vitali got back from surgery, renewed from the rest. Lennox had signed on to make his return and face Kirk Johnson in what was considered a tune-up fight. Klitschko, then ranked #1 contender, was supposed to fight on the undercard. A few weeks out, and Kirk Johnson tears his pectoral. So on short notice, Vitali and Lennox agree to face off to save the card.
As many experts assume that Vitali, who has never really been hit hard by a big puncher, could come a cropper tonight, just as Vladimir did against Corey Sanders.
The hungry contender came in tip-top shape anyway, while Lennox hadn't really been taking Kirk Johnson seriously.
Lennox Lewis has established himself as the best heavyweight of his time. He's now on a victory lap to his career.
I want a good, clean fight. Listen to my commands, shake hands, and await the bell. Good luck to both of you.
Lennox took off at a sprint, leapt out swinging his massive paws as Klitschko spent the first round learning what it's like to be at war, learning what the level of a true heavyweight champion is like when his chips are down.
And again, Lewis dead and backward.
That's the jab that you've been waiting on. Lennox Lewis is starting to get a little effective with.
Hard right hand by Klitschko, best punch of the round.
Vitali hooked off his jab and fired his right down the pipe. Lennox was looking for one sweeping overhand that could cut his night short. The second was where Vitali made it clear he could rise to the occasion.
With awkward short arm shots, he's beating Lewis to the punch. He rips him again with the right hand. Lewis momentarily wobbles.
A moment of awkward balance after a jabbing exchange saw Vitali fired in a lead right hand that nearly snaps his neck. Vitali frames up as a smiling and wobbly Lennox Lewis looks to clinch, making what space he can to open up on the best heavyweight of his era, who is now looking slightly out of his time.
Left hand by Lewis stops Klitschko in his tracks. That changes the blow. Lewis gets the worst of it.
This is Gary Ward on the highest level on the scale.
In the third, the fate saw fit to leave Lennox Lewis one last gift. He opens up, feinting his way into a left hook right hand. It was this punch that landed at the precise speed and angle to push flesh onto a sharp Slavic eye socket. Bone slices through skin. The result was a horrific bisected wound, like a Google Maps directional marker branded into his eyebrow.
Oh, that cut is bad. That cut is bad. Klitschko is hurt.
And he lands a huge right hand on Lewis.
If he can just continue, he can win it.
Long way to go in round 3.
One right hand.
Been hurt a lot.
For Lennox, the cut was a bullseye, a clear path to victory and beacon of hope. The world knew immediately this fight was now a matter of what the doctor would allow. Before, it was Lennox on the clock trying to make the most of his limited cardio.
Lewis trying to get in another right hand on Vitali's badly damaged eye. The Lewis comeback in round 3 was fueled by his landing 17 out of 28 jabs.
Vitali opened with pressure. Lennox pitched in his punches at the eyebrow time and again. He touched it every chance he got. The subtle head clashes and the clinch all focused on dabbing at the degrading mess.
In close, he brings the right hand over the top and hits the cut again.
It was a veteran savvy from a champion two-arm and world-weary to cater to the notion that rules exist in fight. The only rule that exists in boxing is what a ref takes a point for. By the end of round 5, Vitali's face is more wound than face.
Crowd getting their money's worth.
Let me see your eye.
It's not bleeding there, man.
With each passing round, the chance increases that Vitali Klitschko will see his bid for the heavyweight championship.
The 6th round was the last. It had to be. It felt final before the bell. Lennox kept up the pressure while Vitali stepped around and landed hard.
So as long as a minute and a half has been going by between rounds, and that's got to be a help to Lewis, as exhausted as he looks at the end of these rounds.
Lennox would dig deep and come up with one of the most iconic uppercuts in heavyweight history.
Blinded left eye. Oh, what an uppercut!
As the round ends, Lennox flops onto a stool in his corner, gassed out and depleted.
Because of the damage to Vitali Klitschko's eye, and Lennox Lewis, in spite of himself, has a successful defense of his heavyweight fight.
The doctor does his duty and calls it off. Vitali was furious. Lennox was relieved. Vitali called for a rematch. Lennox ultimately decided not to push his luck.
Was it a harder fight than you anticipated?
No, not really. I was getting to him. There's no way he could have finished the fight. If you look at the state of his face, there's no way. He's lucky the fight was stopped. I was just getting to him, and he was just deteriorating anyway. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Was it the doctor who told you that he didn't think you could fight with that eye?
I know. Lennox Lewis don't have good condition. He's very heavy. It was my strategy to make him tight. You saw, he clinched more and more. I see very well. I don't know why this doctor stopped the fight. I want rematch. When doctor stop the fight, I won't fight again. I show for everybody I can be Lewis.
Will you give him a rematch?
You know, if it calls for, if the money's right, yeah, definitely.
Lennox's last stand goes down as the rare happy ending in heavyweight history. Vitali required 60 stitches. For reference, a baseball requires 108. They were right about Klitschko being the heir apparent. He quickly took the title and held a hegemony over the heavyweight division with his brother. Vitali never lost another fight, eventually retiring into the cutthroat world of Ukrainian politics.
Never ever Russians to come to our city. Better we die.
Today, he serves as the mayor of Kiev. Living in a war zone, high on the hit list of a hostile power, we live our lives building the resolve for what comes next. Vitali saw what a last stand looks like. Saw it through eyes steaming, drenched in a waterfall of his own blood. A personal lesson from Lennox, one he needed to be the man he is now.